Heaven Official's Blessing. Chapter 135. Audio source: WuShoWorldAudiobook.com. My Poochie shrine will collapse supremely. That's right, it's your lips. Heavens, I proclaimed with such certainty, yet all the monks and cultivators were perplexed. Why is it the lips? How can the essence of evil only be on the lips? A lip balm spirit. Xie Lian's hands instantly flew to cover his mouth without thinking. He hadn't thought that the essence Hua Cheng had stained on him after having embraced and kissed an entire night at Qiandang Temple hadn't faded. Heavens, I pointed at him. Well, do you all see? He's conscious of his guilt. Xie Lian immediately dropped his hands and forced himself to suppress the urge to turn around and see what expression Hua Cheng wore after having heard, even though his face was covered in bandages and nothing could be mustered anyway. He explained gently, my fellow Dao friend, you've mistaken. Actually, it's because my living is a little strained, so each household item is used for various purposes, like this pot. He raised the clay pot in his hand and said earnestly, although I use this to catch ghosts sometimes, but normally I use it to pickle vegetables. The pickles pickled in this pot has a unique flavor. Once you eat it, you'll naturally. If you don't believe me, you can all try it yourself. Technically, this wasn't impossible. The monks and cultivators were all somewhat doubtful, but the villagers all covered their mouths too. Huh? Xie Daozhong, do you mean to say that all the pickles you gave us from before were pickled like this too? Then won't our mouths all be full of the essence of evil too? Usually when the villagers offered him fruits and vegetables, he would return his gratitude by giving them his pickled vegetables. He quickly waved his hand. Don't worry, the jars I use to pickle for everyone are different. Heavens, I said angrily. Are you dumb in the head? Aren't you afraid eating stuff like this will cut down your lifespan? Stop wasting your breath. There's still people hidden in your shrine, and it's not just one person. Move aside. This time, afraid that the village head will stop him again. Before he even finished speaking, he charged forward. Seeing the situation change so quickly, Xie Lian hurriedly backed into the house, picked up the passed-out Kuan Yijun from the ground, madly shook his collar, and cried next to his ear. Qi Ying, listen well. I am going to feed you that incorruptible chastity meatball. Hearing this, Kuan Yijun's eyes suddenly flashed open. At the same time, Heaven's Eye, who just charged him, shrieked, covered his forehead, and leapt back out. Don't anyone go in. There's an ambush. Sure enough, the crowd of monks and cultivators didn't dare to move, and they gathered around to shield him. Heavens, I Shang, what did you see? Heavens, I said. I didn't see anything, only an immense, blinding white light. Oh no, Dao Shang. Your Heaven's Eye is smoking. Heavens, I felt his forehead, and sure enough, that red mark on his forehead had turned into a black mark, and it was emitting a soft waft of white smoke like that of a blown-out candle. Shocked and dismayed, he exclaimed, What? Ling Wen lazily put down her half-eaten steamed bun and wondered. It's so noisy outside, what's going on? A monk said. Heavens, I Shang, look, there are 2 children and a woman plus this cultivator inside that shrine. There are 4 people. Which one is him? Single quote. Heavens, I rubbed hard at his forehead, but he just couldn't reopen his eye. That ball of white light was the spiritual aura of Kuan Yijun. When a heavenly official sensed themselves about to face extreme danger in their lives challenged, the spiritual aura shielding their body would explosively expand. Xie Lian was using that moment of when that blinding, strong light exploded to blind that cultivator Heaven's Eye. It wasn't like Xie Lian ruined 10 years of his cultivation, he just wouldn't be able to open his eye in the next few days, that's all. Then, Xie Lian picked up the plate holding the meatballs. Kuan Yijun was fully awake now, and he grabbed Xie Lian's hand forcefully, croaking, I won't eat it. Xie Lian reversed the hold and held his hand. Don't be scared, this isn't for you. The band of masters heavily surrounding Poochie Shrine all shared looks with each other, and almost uniformly shouted, rushing forward. However, before Xie Lian could meet them, they were bounced away by an invisible barrier. From the skies above, a deep voice sounded. "You old monks and foul cultivators are like flies. Have you all become obsessed with harassment? You dare pursue me all the way here? Are you all tired of living?" Wah. He stuttered "Wah" several times, but in the end, Heaven's Eye still succumbed to Hua Cheng's might and didn't dare call him by his full name. Instead he stammered, "Hua Cheng Zhu. Stop bluffing. We all know that you've been affected by the imminent opening of Mount Tonglu and sealed away your powers. You can't possibly be as insolent as you usually are right now. Sir, surrender yourself." Although the more he spoke the less strength there was in his words, still Xie Lian could sense Hua Cheng was really angry now, and immediately, he rushed back inside to pick him up. He whispered, "Don't say any more. Stop wasting your powers, store your strength. Leave everything to me." Hua Cheng's body was tense at first, but after he was picked up, he seemed to have calmed down slowly, and replied with a low voice, "All right." Holding him, Xie Lian could sense that Hua Cheng's age seemed to have shrunken again, and was probably no more than a child of 12 or 13, and he couldn't help but be worried. With one arm holding Hua Cheng, and the other hand clutching Feng Xin, he walked out. "Did you all never thought that the green ghost Qirong was deceiving you all?" Yet unexpectedly, when they heard him, the monks and cultivators all looked confused. "Heavens," I asked. "Green ghost Qirong? Deceive us what? Why would he deceive us?" Xie Lian frowned slightly. "Wasn't it him who told you all to come here?" Heavens, I clicked his tongue. "Who do you think we are? That we need his menace to pass us information? Why would we float on the same boat as him? It wasn't Qirong. Then how did information leak?" Before he could think on it more, the monks and cultivators had already started their attacks. With a swing of his sword, Xie Lian warded off a number of swords and several staffs. A monk questioned, "Amitabha Buddha, why must this Tao friend protect this creature of evil?" Xie Lian wouldn't back down an inch, and replied, "Master, no matter what, it's not nice to ambush people when they're down." "Heavens," I shouted. "He's a ghost, not a person. Don't twist rotten logic, you immature youngin'." Spiritual staffs and treasured swords and blades all came attacking at once, and if Xie Lian used Feng Xin he might just hurt mortals. By creative justice, mortals could hit heavenly officials, but heavenly officials could not hit mortals, because they must be tolerant, generous, compassionate, and loving towards mortals, not fighting with them. If one dared hit a mortal, then merits would be taken. Xie Lian wasn't as unrestrained and wealthy as Quan Yi Jun. He didn't have too many merits in the first place. If more is taken away, he'd be going in the negatives. Thus, he put away his sword and shouted, "Ruoye, come! Qi Ying, watch Ling Wen." When Wei bound men it was always aggrieved, but when it bound women it'd change face. Xie Lian had to call for it twice before it reluctantly peeled itself off of Ling Wen's hands. The next second, a white flash whipped past the hands of tens of people, and when their strength became unsteady they could no longer hold on to their spiritual tools. Bewildered, they all wondered, "What spiritual tool is that? Was that a spiritual tool? How come it looks like a white cloth for hanging to me? It reeks of evil. Wadayano, this brat actually has a couple moves." Unexpectedly, just as Xie Lian was in the midst of fending off those masters, Ling Wen shook her head, cleaned her sleeves and rose to her feet. "Thank you for your warm hospitality. I will take my leave now." Xie Lian was taken aback. "Ling Wen, the day's not over yet. Where are you going? Are you going to break your vow?" "That's right. I'm going to break my vow," Ling Wen said. Her voice was confident and determined, like she was saying she was about to slay evil by heaven's will. Xie Lian couldn't retaliate. A brief moment later, he stated, "The one who leaked information wasn't Qirong, it was you." Ling Wen smiled. "I may not be a martial god and was bound by Wei, but one can accomplish much with just the spirit communication array." He knew it. But how did Ling Wen know that bandaged boy was watching? She barely spoke to him, barely saw him. Even Xie Lian hadn't figured it out as fast as she did. Seeing that she was about to take her stately leave, but Xie Lian still couldn't get away, he shouted, "Qi Ying, don't let her get away." Although he ate an incorruptible chastity meatball earlier, but Quan Yijun can move himself off the ground now, his strength returning. Besides, Ling Wen was a literature god. She was powerless and Quan Yijun could stop her using not even a finger. Hearing Quan Yijun acknowledge, "Okay," from afar, Xie Lian relaxed and went back to fighting the crowd. A moment later, there was a sudden rumble, and the roof of Puqi Shrine was punched through, the silhouette of a figure blown high into the air. Xie Lian looked back around, shocked, and shouted to the interior of the shrine, "Qi Ying, don't fight like that. It's nothing for martial gods to get tossed around. Martial gods all grew up getting beaten." But no matter how you look at it, Ling Wen was a lady heavenly official, and a literature god at that. If Quan Yijun fought so ruthlessly, she'd be pulverized. Yet, the figure who walked out leisurely said, "Bai Jin, don't fight like that." That voice was cold and crisp, very obviously belonging to Ling Wen. Yet in the moment she walked out, Xie Lian felt he saw a fleeting illusion, like the one who came out wasn't Ling Wen, but an extremely tall young man, his aura of vengeance roaring to the heavens. However, when Xie Lian focused his eyes, it was still the lone figure of Ling Wen. Ling Wen was a literature god, that's for certain. If she had hidden her strength intentionally in the past, she still couldn't deceive Xie Lian, so how could she suddenly blow Quan Yijun into the sky? Watching whispered, "Gur, be careful, she's put on that robe." So that's it. Although on the surface it looks like Ling Wen was still clad in black, but a layer of simmering black aura was shielding her, seeming like she had changed into a completely different person. The killing intent was running wild, but her blanched face was extremely calm, and this formed a peculiar contrast. Xie Lian tried testing the waters by lunging at her with his sword, and Ling Wen deflected the blow by a wave of her sleeve. Coincidentally, Quan Yijun came crashing down from above, and fell to the ground with a bang. Just in time to witness this scene. Instantly, his eyes lit up. "Beautiful." Xie Lian's eyes lit up too, and also exclaimed, "Beautiful." Ling Wen's move just now was truly a beautiful one. No, it should be said, the move the Brocade Immortal used to help Ling Wen block the attack. When that Brocade Immortal was donned on others, either they lose their minds or their blood was sucked dry. However, when donned on Ling Wen, not a single weapon could pierce through, and she could even attack proactively, instantly allowing a literature god blow a martial god of the West away. No one's ever heard that Brocade Immortal had this incredible ability before. Who would have thought that after she's chopped off the head and limbs of the Brocade Immortal, it would still allow itself to be used by her? Now, not only the villagers of Puqi village were shocked, even the band of monks and cultivators were stunned. "Heavens!" I exclaimed. "What beautiful! Is it so good to be hit? Is there anyone normal inside that shrine? I think not a single soul there is human." Quan Yijun was itching to spar, and he leapt to his feet to attack once more. Ling Wen said in a low voice. I said, "Don't linger around." Those words were directed at the Brocade Immortal, but her body wouldn't listen to her, and her elbow blocked Quan Yijun's punch before they proceed to start an all-out brawl. Fighting and parrying and fighting, the blows of fists and palms shocked the old walls of Puqi Shrine, and it shook like it was ready to collapse. As expected of the Brocade Immortal with the potential to ascend, Quan Yijun was falling behind. Xie Lian couldn't help but cry. Excuse me, can you both fight further away? Further away, please." But before he finished his sentence, those monks and cultivators came surrounding him again, some 40 to 50 blades, swords, axes, staffs, all crashing forward, and Xie Lian's face dropped, raising his hands. "Wait, don't. No. And amidst that tragic wail, the Puchi shrine that had withstood countless battering but still remained standing finally, truly, completely, collapsed. Xie Lian was dumbfounded. Desolation filled his heart. I just knew none of my houses would last for over half a year. Now I really need to beg for donations for reconstruction. Gurgur, don't be sad. It's just a house, there's plenty around. Watching comforted, Xie Lian tried to make himself stay strong, but then Heaven's Eye came stumbling over, his hand covering his forehead, and he pointed at him. You young'un with nothing but tricks. You dare ruin my cultivation. Who's your master? What generation do you belong to? Which temple are you registered under? What sort of god do you worship? Xie Lian whipped his head over, and a biting chill flashed before his face. He straightened and stated solemnly, You ask who I am? Listen well. I am the Eminent Highness the Crown Prince. You riotous radicals, bow down before me. His voice roared like thunder in clear skies, and there were actually a few who almost fell to their knees, and didn't snap out of it until their companions pulled them up. What are you doing? Are you actually kneeling? That's weird. I did it before I realized it. Xie Lian proclaimed sharply. I am over 800. Older than all of you combined. I've crossed more bridges than all the roads you've walked. I possess shrines and temples across this land. My devotees and worshippers are spread to all 4 seas. If you don't know my name, it's because you are ignorant and unlearned of the world. I do not worship gods. I am God. When the mob heard this speech that was so shameless yet spoken with an incomparably impressive air, they were all stunned, and subconsciously dropped their jaws. Xie Lian made up all that nonsense because he was waiting for this very moment. He flung that plate in his hand, and all those white little meatballs shot out through the air like iron pellets. Scattered in all directions, and without any misses, they were hurled right into the open mouths of all those people in shock. Then he wiped away his sweat. Will everyone please forget everything I just said? I'm actually only just a scrap collector. Everyone who ate a meatball instantly dropped their faces. We've been had. A few who were quicker on their feet stopped the meatball with their swords. But when they brought the swords before their eyes, those meatballs were actually still spinning rapidly, creating sparks with the blades from the friction. The mob were terrified. What is this hidden weapon? Incomparably solid with a peculiar shine. Could this be the legendary? That's right, Xie Lian claimed. It's the legendary incorruptible chastity pellets. Exceedingly poisonous, and if 81 cups of clean water isn't drunken within a day to detox, then they'll explode in your stomach. Although no one had ever heard of such a thing before, but the mob grew even more horrified. Oi, is it really that poisonous? Either way, we gotta go drink water. The antidote is only water. Let's get out of here. Go find water. In an instant, a large number of the crowd who fell for the trick fled. On the other side, Lingwen was fighting more and more aggressively, and she actually had both her hands strangling Quan Yi-jun as she picked him up. Obviously having the upper hand, but Lingwen didn't look pleased at all, and she barked with a low voice. Bai Jin, are you going to kill him? There's no need to fight anymore, let's just go. Fortunately, Xie Lian had 1 meatball left, and just as Lingwen said the word go, with his swift hands he hurled the meatball into her mouth. Instantly, the light in Lingwen's eyes was extinguished, like it was sucked by the thing she swallowed, and the black aura surrounding her person also lightened a shade, with an expression like she was forcing back the urge to vomit. She glanced at Xie Lian, her lips soundlessly trembling, then after enduring for a while, she threw Quan Yi-jun onto the ground, and left with her hands supporting her temple. Quan Yi-jun jumped to his feet, chasing after her. Xie Lian had wanted to follow after them too, but that mob of monks and cultivators blocked his way and they shouted, Everyone, hang on. More reinforcements are on their way. More? He couldn't stay in Puchi village any longer. He best leave first and think later. In hot pursuit of Ling Wen, Quan Yujun soon disappeared. Xie Lian cradled Watching in his arms and said, "Hold on tight to me." Then, tipping his feet to bolt, he surpassed the mob and fled. Watching followed his instruction and embraced him tightly. For some reason, this scene felt familiar to Xie Lian, but he had no time to reminisce the past. This affair needed to be reported to court as soon as possible. Without thinking, he sent a message to the private spirit communication array. "Ling Wen, something's happened." "Ling Wen, I know. Xie Lian, so sorry to bother you." An instant later, it was Ling Wen who cut off the communication first. Xie Lian was speechless too. In the past, he had always communicated with Ling Wen directly, and now that it was Ling Wen herself who was the problem, he hadn't yet had the time to wrap his head around it, and actually reported the incident to her, so he didn't know whether to laugh or cry either. Xie Lian entered the public spirit communication array and yelled as he dashed with Watching in his arms. "Everyone, please alert the whole court. Ling Wen's run away wearing the brocade immortal." End chapter.